Tonight's episode of America's Hometown Horror is brought to you by our friends at Fangoria Magazine. That's right, the first name in fright since 1979 is now an affiliate of America's Hometown Horror. And because of that, we can now offer you an exclusive 20% discount on any first-time magazine subscription or merchandise purchase by heading over to shop.fangoria.com and using the code HometownHorrorPod at checkout. That's shop.fangoria.com/HometownHorrorPod, or just use the code HometownHorrorPod at checkout for that exclusive discount on anything from Fangoria. Tonight's episode of America's Hometown Horror is also brought to you by our friends at Horror Facts Magazine. Never heard of Horror Facts Magazine? Well, if you're a horror fan, they're a name that you absolutely should know. You can find them over at horrorfacts.com, and they're a great resource for all things horror, including news, reviews, editorials, and lots of other horror podcasts, not only limited to, but including America's Hometown Horror. So head on over to horrorfacts.com and check them out. Last but certainly not least, if you want to support America's Hometown Horror directly, I would highly recommend you get yourself some tickets to the Hometown Haunts and Hops Horror Convention, which will be taking place at Mayflower Brewing Company in lovely Plymouth, Massachusetts for the first time on October 28th of this year. Yes, that's right, folks, the Saturday before Halloween. We're partnering with our friends over at Inebriart to put this event on, and you can buy yourself some tickets by going to inebriart.com, go to their events page, pull up their October calendar, and get yourself some $5 tickets to the Hometown Haunts and Hops Horror Convention, which is now sponsored by HalloweenNewEngland.com. HalloweenNewEngland.com is the website for the truly Halloween obsessed, with the most extensive guides to New England haunted houses, ghost tours, classic horror film screenings, jack-o'-lantern festivals, haunted hayrides, and more. They've got all the thrills covered throughout September and October. With over 2,500 Halloween events on their events calendar and hundreds of local Halloween attractions, it's the only place you'll find everything from haunted history tours and costume contests to which haunts are open on a Thursday night. No matter what you're looking for this Halloween season, HalloweenNewEngland.com has you covered, and we are thrilled to be partnering with them. Now, let's get on with the show. Hello, good evening, and welcome into another episode of America's Hometown Horror. Thanks for checking back in with us. We certainly appreciate you hanging out with us during spooky season, which is our favorite time of year. My name is Mike. I will be your host through this demented journey into the horror world, and it's a small crew tonight, have to say. We are without Matt. We are sans Cat. It is Andrew and I flying solo on this particular episode. Andrew, hello.
Yeah, we're like a chubby, like just a little soft guy, but at half capacity tonight.
Okay, that's one way of putting it. There we go.
But we're gonna come hard, so don't worry.
Good Lord, yeah, I wondered what you were setting us up for there. Good pull. So if you're looking to find more of us online, here's where you can find us. First place, our website, which is ahpod.com. It's ahhpod.com. You can find our blog there. You can listen to the show directly, find out more about us, and a bunch of other stuff on ahpod.com. And you also find us on social media on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search for America's Hometown Horror. You'll find us. And you can also drop us a line at hometownhorrorpodcast@gmail.com if you feel so inclined. If you'd like to share some feedback about the show and tell us how we're doing. But I would be remiss if I did not mention the best place to leave us feedback about the show was on Apple Podcasts or Spotify by leaving us a review. Preferably a 5-star review, because that helps the show grow, get out to more people, and, help us just get our fun horror talks out to more listeners each and every week, because we do this every single week, as we have for the last almost 4 years, which is insane to say. Right, Andrew?
That is pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy. All right. So with that being said, I've introduced my co-host, run through a bunch of stuff. So we are doing another haunt review tonight, and that haunt would be Spooky World Presents Nightmare New England, which is up in Litchfield, New Hampshire. And as I mentioned on our Barrett's episode, which we totally did not record tonight, the same night. We did it last week when it came out. We're going to skip through our usual stuff here of news and watch lists. But if you're new to the show, typically we do a couple of other things before we get to our usual topic. We're going to skip those tonight because I think a lot of people are just looking for a reaction to the particular haunt that they're potentially thinking of visiting, or they want to hear what we think. So we're just going to get right into it. And why don't we talk about Spooky World presented by Spooky World Presents Nightmare New England, Andrew. This is 2023, obviously, and weird to say, it's 2023. I've been going to Spooky World in some capacity since the mid-90s. Now, obviously, caveat, I am very much aware that this current iteration of Spooky World is not affiliated or associated with the original Spooky World that was in Berlin back in the 90s and moved around. It's under new ownership. It's a completely different thing than what it used to be. But again, the name Spooky World just carries some cachet for me personally. I've been going since I was 7 or 8. My uncle used to take me, used to get scared shitless, and this place just helped me fall in love with horror, particularly haunted attractions. Remember all the old haunts from Berlin, the Hayride, Cirque Macabre, the Phantom Mine Shaft, and all the celebrities that they hosted at the original horror theme park in America, from Kane Hodder to Tom Savini, Elvira, the lady of the Mistress of the Dark, I should say, Linda Blair from The Exorcist, and Bobby Boris Pickett of Monster Mash fame. If you're nostalgic for the spooky world of old, like I sometimes get to be, there's some cool videos on YouTube of an early promotional video they put out there when it first opened, showing highlights of the Hayride, which is narrated by Kane Hodder. There's also some cool videos of the abandoned property in Berlin, if you want to check those out. And have to say, I have admittedly not been to Spooky World in 3 years, I think, Andrew. And you came with me the last time around.
Yeah, we went.
It was during COVID, yes. So there were obviously a lot of restrictions in place. What I do have to say is I think that this is a much, much different, much improved experience than I remember from the last time.
100%.
Obviously, they had their hands tied behind their back with COVID, and I don't think we were necessarily, besmirching them at that point, but it was just different. And this year, I feel like is a return to form, and I'm so, so happy that I went and had an absolute blast, and it was great. It's, I would say, a very different experience from something like Barrett's Haunted Mansion. We can get into that, but that doesn't mean that it's not of the same quality, because going through these attractions, it's mind-blowing some of the stuff they were able to pull off. So, Andrew, I know you have not been in as long as I have. What'd you think of Spooky World? Before we get into quote-unquote spoilers.
So the only time I'd ever been to Spooky World was with you, COVID year.
I forget that was the first time.
First time I'd ever been to Spooky World. So
wild.
Wasn't able to really get a fair shake from me because of all the restrictions. Like, it's tough to do a hayride with dividers in between every 4. It was like 4 people, and it was literally both ways. Yeah. So you could literally only see like a quarter of the hayride.
I know.
How are you supposed to enjoy a hayride? Like, they had to do it, but it's just like, I was like, oh, this is a bummer, and I knew what it was. But yeah, and then this year we went up.
Fucking COVID.
It took us almost 2 hours because there was traffic fucking everywhere to get there. Well worth it. I would drive 2 hours to go to this.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Of course. Again, Matt's not here, and Matt has never been to this particular iteration of Spooky World. So we really were looking forward to bringing Matt with us. But unfortunately, we weren't able to go to Barrett's or Spooky World with Matt. And we still miss you, buddy. We'll have you back on as soon as you're ready to come back on. But it ended up just being me and you, buddy. We had a little date, if you will.
We went out evening.
Yeah, went out to dinner together. Got rained on in line. Had a fun time. Yeah, so we started out our experience this night. We went to Backyard Brewing Company. Backyard Brewery. We went a few years back, and it's
the last time. Didn't Kat go too?
Kat and Craig were both.
there. That's right. Craig
was there before Matt's time. But yeah, we went to Backyard Brewery again. They brew all their own beer. They have 2 different sections. One is like a modern brewery setting. The other one is like an old school dive bar setting, which is where Andrew and I sat at the bar and got some food.
Dude, we got to go out the weird back entrance for the employees only to go smoke a butt. I was like, that's a nice throw in.
Yeah, it was definitely it was a pretty cool place, and they have good food. They have good beer. We had a great time hanging out there. Took us a little bit longer to get up to Spooky World than we thought it might, so we weren't able to hang out there as long as we wanted to. But that didn't even matter, because when we got to Spooky World, the experience was awesome. This is definitely one of those things, when you're getting there, you need to plan your time appropriately, because getting parked and getting into the park takes you a lot longer than you think it's going to. We definitely left a little bit later than we probably should have. And we
took
had
for granted that we didn't think it was first it was rainy. It was like opening night or opening weekend.
Opening weekend.
So we were like, it's probably not going to be like slammed. And it was very busy. And I got there and I was like, oh shit.
And again, I was told that they were busier the night before on opening night. They were pretty busy that night that we went, even with the rain, even with everything. But it's so you park and essentially you walk in. There's a ticket booth. Even if you purchase tickets ahead of time online, you still have to wait in line. You show your tickets, you go in. But the different thing about this is that you follow a path that brings you through all 4 different attractions, which we'll cover in detail in a little bit here. But they have a monster midway. They have zombie paintball. They have all kinds of stuff, go-karts, batting cages, mini golf, bumper boats. I think they might have been closed.
Kind of bummed that we didn't
get
to play bumper boats.
I know, that would have been fun. That would have made it the ultimate date. I forget to play bumper boats after.
Maybe have some fried dough together.
Yeah, some fried dough, share a nice experience.
Yeah, it was just, the weather was kind of poopy. We played, when we went last time, we played mini golf. There was 4 of us. So it was, I love playing mini golf. I would have played mini golf, but it was 2-hour drive up there. It took forever to get there.
Yeah.
It was crappy weather, but I would have played some mini golf.
Well, the different thing about Spooky World this year too, is that so all the tickets that you buy are timed. So basically you're buying a ticket for a time slot where you have to basically that is your time to go into the hayride, and then you follow a loop through the other 3 haunted attractions after that. The tickets do suggest that you get checked in a half hour before your ticketed time. So if you have a 7:30 ticket time, you should get there to check in at 7. Now, we should have heeded that advice and gone through and done that, because we definitely did not get there at 7 and we were running late. So we went through the hayride at closer to 7:45 and then went through everything. But we still moved through everything, I'd say, pretty quickly. We were done with all 4 attractions almost by 9:15. So an hour and a half to go through.
I think we were honestly fortunate though that it wasn't busy, because if we had gotten there,
we would have been screwed.
We would have been fucked. They would have been see you later.
Yeah, it would have been a bad thing for us.
Because luckily the line getting in, just to get our tickets checked in.
Yeah.
I mean, that took maybe 5 minutes, and that was too long because we were we don't have time.
I was like, oh my God, we're running so late now.
It's funny, Mike was running to get there, and I was like, I'm not running. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I saw you.
There was a group of 5 people behind you as you ran past them, and I was speed walking, and they were like, oh, look at this guy. This guy can't wait to get to the haunted houses. And I was like, no, I wanted to be no, we're running behind.
Yeah, we're running behind. We're late.
But I was just laughing because he's you could be running to get to the haunted
houses. Yeah, I was kind of doing both because I was excited to experience everything, and we were running late.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, I will say for tickets for Spooky World, so you basically need to pick a day. You need to go online on their website, which is nightmarenewengland.com. You pick a day, and then you pick a time, and then based on the day and time that you pick, there are several ticket options available. So there's the general admission tickets, which I believe on the weekends are about $60 to get through all 4 attractions, get you through everything once. You can also buy a VIP ticket, which looks like they're $90, $84.99 plus fees, blah, blah, blah. That gets you through the attractions, I believe, 2 times. And then you also get to use unlimited access to the go-karts, the mini golf, the batting cages at Mel's Funway Park, which is right next door. So,
make sure you have cash for parking, because it's $5.
Yeah, it's $5 a park.
I didn't realize
that's also a thing too. But, I would say on busier nights during the season, when you get closer to Halloween, this place bangs it out. So you may want that VIP ticket.
Oh yeah, I could see that being well worth it.
Yes. And obviously more attractions here. I also think important to note, this is double the cost of Barrett's. Actually, no, that's not fair. Barrett's is $40 for general admission. Spooky World is $60 for general admission. VIP tickets are $90 a piece.
Oh, $90.
Yeah, which I think they're $60 for Barrett's. So yeah, it's a little bit more expensive. I think it's obviously on a bigger property. There's more attractions. It's longer. So that's definitely, I'm not saying that
because the hayride's 20 minutes, 25 minutes?
Easily 20, 25 minutes. And I would say the fact that it's more expensive, I'm not knocking it. No. You get more.
You get your bang for your buck.
It's absolutely worth it.
Definitely worth it.
And obviously, there's a lot that you can experience when you go there. So, Andrew, we walked through or rode on 4 different attractions. And those attractions are the world famous Spooky World Haunted Hayride, The Colony, Asylum 47, and Nightmare in 3D. So they're all way different experiences. So if you like different types of haunts, I guarantee at least one of these four is going to scratch an itch for whatever you like. And they're all good. So Andrew, I guess, once we finally did get into the park and we went through everything, what were your overall thoughts on Spooky World?
The hayride was fantastic. It was so much better this time, obviously. Even with it being a little wet, sitting down on the wet hay, my butt didn't get too wet, which was nice. I was like, all right. I was worried about that because I was like, this could ruin this night. But it's fantastic. Their large animatronic monsters are amazing.
One of my big takeaways from Spooky World is that. So Barrett's doesn't have stuff like that. And again, not a knock on Barrett's. With the size and scale Spooky World has to work with, there's a lot of big animatronics.
Yeah.
Just like at Fright Kingdom, by the way. Fright Kingdom had a ton as well. Spooky World had a lot of really good ones. A lot on the hayride,
a ton on the hayride,
and there were a few
throughout. Yeah,
there were a few in the Nightmare in 3D house as well, which obviously we can get more into all that stuff. So I didn't mean to step on your thoughts. So the hayride was awesome.
It was awesome. We're not doing spoilers, obviously.
Yeah, not quite yet.
So, the hayride was fantastic. I love how they have like the path, like you get off and you're in the woods walking through the path.
Yeah, so that's the colony.
The colony. Yep. I like that way of doing it because something about just being outside in the woods walking through, and it's a little bit drizzly out. And like those would have been better, like because you're all, it's like a big large group you're walking through at once. That would have been better with a little more space between.
So for me personally, the only critique I would have of Spooky World is the colony. I think was the most forgettable attraction for me because you get off the hayride. You said it perfectly.
We also that
everybody that's on
to push over because
they were the worst.
Fucking annoying.
They were so you're getting off the hayride, and everyone that gets off the hayride, which is probably close to 30 people,
solid. Yeah.
You're all walking through it essentially in a straight line through the woods. So there's a lot of people there. Like you can see a lot of the scares coming because they're scaring the people in front of you. But walking through those woods along the Merrimack River is very creepy in and of itself. So I feel like that is a huge benefit to that.
Oh yeah, that's what makes it so good is that you're outside in the middle of the woods at night. It's like, all right, it's cool.
Very cool sets in the woods. Some pretty good scares. I think I got once or twice.
They're very good at hiding around as soon as you're entering. Like a lot of people I feel like don't utilize the entrance to the room or whatever you're walking into, because I feel like people will be like, well, that's obvious. But that's the ones that get me the worst because I'm not expecting someone to just be like, bah, right away. I'm like, oh, well, why don't you wait a second?
I remember there's one particular set that I feel like it's always been there when I've gone through this iteration of Spooky World. One of the houses that you walk through in the colony is like over a shallow section of the river.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like walking along a porch and you go into this house and it's like over the water and it's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah. So personally, it was the weakest of the four for me. It doesn't mean it was bad.
Yeah. No. It was. It's a good way to lead you in. It's like, because it's almost like not even like a house. It's just you're just taking a walk through the woods with a bunch of random people,
right?
And you get scared. Somebody gets scared, but it's hard to scare. Like you scare someone 20 people in front of you. You know, oh, well, that's like you said. Like it's coming.
You know it's
not going to be scary. So not that any of it's really scary anyway, but it's a lot harder to get scared.
Right. So from the colony, you finish that and you immediately go into line for what I thought was my personal highlight of the night, which was Asylum 47. So this is the newest attraction that they've added, which replaced the big haunted house that had the huge facade with the strobe lights and the rock music. I'm almost positive it's in the same building, because that was there the last time we went a few years ago, and they added Asylum 47, I think not last year, but the year before. And this one absolutely blew me away. Yeah. You want to talk incredible sets. There's a scene you're walking through to get into this house. It's not a spoiler because it's right at the beginning. You walk into the building and it looks like you're walking through the courtyard of a huge multi-level psychiatric hospital.
Incredible. Yeah.
I was walking around. I was like, I couldn't believe it. It looked like a Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights quality level of set design. It looked so much bigger than it actually was. Mm-hmm. It was huge. Yeah. It was absolutely the coolest thing. I like from there, I was hooked. And that's one of the first scenes of the entire house.
Oh yeah. That was,
but I mean, we're obviously going to go into all this stuff, in spoilers, I guess, in a little bit. But Andrew, what do you think of Asylum 47?
That one was awesome. But again, their set design is so good on everything is so realistic. It's like some of the stuff you look at and I'm like, I wish I could just look at this a little bit closer, because I'm like, but you don't have time to do that because you're walking. You can't take it all in fast enough, and it's just like a blur. But you do know everything you see is just so well done and so just attention to detail is incredible.
One of the other things I liked about this house too, but you're like, hold on, let me backtrack here. You're correct, because I feel like at Barrett's World, back-to-back nights, I kept walking through these sets and I was like, can I slow down for a second and just look at all this stuff, because I'm in awe of how this was all put together. Mm-hmm. And you can't, because you're moving fast. That's why I feel like it's, I'm not going to make it back to Spooky World this particular season. So I probably won't get to see it again until the next time I go, which the good thing is a lot of these attractions, they update them, but it's the same theme each year until they change something. I can't wait to go through Asylum 47 again though, because they tell you before you go in, it's set on New Year's Eve, 1947. So you walk through this and it is still decorated with the leftover Christmas decorations you can kind of see, but it's also there's some New Year's Eve theming in there in a lot of the rooms, and it's just impeccably done. I loved it. I can't say enough about how much I like this particular one.
Yeah, it was very good. Like it's just amazing some of the stuff that they do in these things. And I'm like, wow, it's like the guy with like, this is the one where the guy whose head was like banging off the glass. Like
that was this one.
That was that one. Yeah, that room was like, I was like, that is so good. They did.
Yeah.
It was very realistic. I mean, it's realistic as that can be.
Yes,
of course.
So, yeah. Yeah. So walk out of Asylum 47, and we were next in line for Nightmare in 3D. And I have to say, so
I'm forgetting. Was this was at the end of this one? Was this the one where there was the guy hanging from the ceiling? And
yes,
we both were like, "Is that a real guy?" Like, because he was like violently like writhing in pain, and it looked so real. It was so well done.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was really good. So yeah, Asylum 47 rocks. Nightmare in 3D. What I was going to say was, I'm admittedly in the past, I've never been the biggest fan of like the neon painted 3D style haunted houses. I feel like it's a lot of the time kind of an afterthought. A lot of haunts do it. It's just never connected with me personally. This one was different this year. The artwork was incredible. Good actors in there. Some of the rooms that you walked into and like the theming really got me, because I don't like clowns. I don't really like bugs, and I'm scared of aliens.
Yep.
And I feel like this house was exclusively themed to clowns, bugs, and aliens. And they upgraded their animatronics in this house big time. And I'm thinking about one particular room with spiders.
That was,
you know what I'm talking about. That was wild.
Yeah, I didn't like
Which,
that.
Again, we're trying to be as vague as possible here. Again, and, go through Spooky World, come back, listen to us. But, yeah, I was very impressed with Nightmare in 3D. What about you?
I never liked 3D ones just because I have glasses on, and it's a pain in the ass to put the 3D glasses
over your glasses.
Because I feel like I'm like walking like this the whole time because it's falling off my head. But aside from that, it was really cool. Like, I mean, it's the most brightly lit out of all of them, obviously. So it's really hard. Like, you're not going to get scared. But it's the animatronics phenomenal in this one, right? They had that big fucking
spider
guy. There was another one too.
There were clowns and stuff.
Yeah.
We said we were going to do spoilers. Sorry, kind of spoilers,
well,
but you know what
it's
not a big deal.
Yeah, people, you're going to go and you're going to still be scared and enjoy it either way.
This was the biggest house, though, that I did wish the cat was with us, because she would have so much appreciated this and loved it. And I know she, like, every time we've gone through this house, her and I have been a bunch of times too, and she loves this one. So I think she would have really liked the iteration they did this year, because it was pretty goddamn good, I have to say. So,
and don't worry, Kat, me and Mike got a nice picture taken with the fly. We looked very cute together.
We did, yes. Andrew and I got a few pictures.
The fly guy, that guy was the man.
Yeah, they had a bunch of cool roaming actors as well in between lines. One of which, shout out to the guy that was dressed as a big fly. That was really cool.
And I think he was wearing Brian's hat.
He was kind of wearing Brian's hat from I think you should. Which if you watch, I think you should leave. You know exactly what I'm about, but. Overall, I guess I would say Nightmare New England, presented by Spooky World, is a fucking home run, and you should absolutely go check it out. Andrew and I had a blast. You can make a road trip out of it, make an afternoon or a night out of it, and just go up there, find a nice restaurant, or get some food there, because there's a lot of places you can actually get some snacks and stuff there, like on the Midway. Like you can get some beers, you can get some food. It's much more. It's like the biggest difference between this and something like Barrett's.
It's like a fair.
This has a very much of like a carnival, like type.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, different than Barrett's in that sense.
Because they have all the games you can play. They have the big bonfire, which is really cool.
Yeah,
they
big bonfire.
Cool airplane with the.
They have the huge Spooky World bus that they blow up with, like, fire jets and everything. That's really cool. That was a lot of fun. And you can buy a lot of cool merchandise there. So yeah, I would say absolutely. Just like Barrett's, Spooky World's a home run. Got to go check it out. If you hadn't been in a few years, like I haven't. Absolutely go check it out. It's probably different than the last time you were there, is what I would say.
Oh yeah,
and it's well worth your time. But absolutely, we're so lucky to have so many great haunts here in New England. Would you agree? Any other thoughts?
Oh yeah, there's a couple really cool parts of the hayride, like the Krampus.
Well, we're going to go into spoilers here in a second. I was going to take a quick break. Yeah. So we're going to
wrap it
up. Yeah. So just general thoughts before we. Okay. All right. So why don't we take a quick 90-second break here for a word from our sponsors? We'll be right back and talk a little bit of spoiler territory about Nightmare New England presents Spooky World.
It's official. The critics' decision is in. Spooky World is spooktacular. Enter the new black hole. If you dare. Or the new horror house House of Wax. This year, don't miss the real Jason, Bobby Pickett, or Alice Cooper. On the 24-hour Spooky World hotline. 508-838-0200. That's 508-838-0200. Spooky World is just west of Boston and haunts every night from October 1st till November 1st. If you had the nerve, you'd phone 508-838-0200.
It's America's horror theme park, Spooky World.
Don't be scared. I'm the super sweet monster with the super sweet new cereal, Count Chocula.
Biffle, here's the super sweet new cereal, Frankenberry.
But I've got chocolate sweeties for monstrous chocolate flavor.
Well, I've got berry-flavored sweeties for monster strawberry flavor.
Count Chocula.
Frankenberry.
Hi.
Frankenberry.
Count Chocula.
Sleepy Clovers!
The new face of evil is going to scare you to death. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. It's a killer this year. Then right next door to the Abington Ale House. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. Eat, drink, and be scary. Go to bhmansion.com.
All right, we're back talking more Spooky World Presents Nightmare in New England with you. Hey, Andrew, did you know that Spooky World originally opened in 1991?
I think I did, actually.
Yeah, did you know where it opened? What town?
Berlin,
Massachusetts. That's correct. Do you know where else it may have taken place over the years?
Probably like, I don't know. Fucking...
Gillette Stadium. That was one place. Started there in 1998. So I know Matt, that was the last time Matt went there, was when it was in Foxborough at Gillette Stadium. Remained there until 2005 before it bounced around a little bit. A few years at the Bayside Expo Center in Boston. They did the Fear at Fenway one year in Boston, obviously at Fenway Park. And they were at Canopy Lake Park, which is, that's a place I really want to go. Haven't been in years, but used to be at Canopy Lake Park for a few years and moved to its new home in Litchfield, New Hampshire in 2009, where it has remained since. All right, so we're going to talk, I guess, about a spoiler filled as we can get for Spooky World, I would say. Andrew, for the 4 attractions, I think probably for me and you, Asylum 47 and the Hayride are going to be what we're talking about here. What were some of the more impressive scenes that you saw in anything? I know I have a few, but if you have a couple.
On the Hayride with Krampus dangling that little kid from his leg.
Really, really cool. There was an awesome Krampus animatronic, and you go through one set that looks like it's going to, again, on a 25 minute hayride. Honestly, it was probably close to a half hour, I would say.
Long.
And you go through multiple sets, and one of the sets is a town that's tricked out, decorated for Christmas. And there's a Krampus there. There's a whole bunch of Christmas related horror stuff. It's awesome. It's really cool.
I feel like they did like a lot of like, almost like culty stuff, like you're driving through and there's like all those weird like signs and stuff.
Yeah.
Like almost like Wendigo shit.
Yeah.
Is there one of those?
So I think you're thinking of, there was one of the set, there's a couple times you go through almost like a barn. So it's made to look like an enclosed set while you're on the hayride, because there's a seat, there's a roof, and it's really cool. And one of them was designed to be like this icy cave, and there was a Yeti animatronic in that one. So I don't particularly remember a Wendigo one.
I've not Wendigos, but like there was like signs like on like a certain, maybe it was just like as you're going into a different, like the in-between.
There was definitely some culty stuff.
Some culty signs and stuff,
there might have been some Wendigo stuff.
Like that wasn't like a major part, but I always like that stuff they throw that in there.
I remember there's one section you roll through that's like, it's all tricked out with jack-o'-lanterns, and it's really awesomely Halloween themed. That was pretty cool. And it was just overall very well done. I haven't been in a haunted hayride since the last time we went to Spooky World, and I was missing it. I love haunted hayrides.
Did the barn scene have them hanging from hooks on the wall on the right?
There was a definitely like a butcher barn scene, because they had a lot of animatronics that were like people on hooks. I
feel like one was like wearing like a pig's head.
Yeah, and they were all shaking around, and I was like, wow, these look incredibly real. So that was awesome. That was a really, really big highlight of the hayride, I think.
The like car accident / like plane crash. Like
the plane crash. That's right.
Awesome.
They had a plane crash too, but this is the exterior of the plane, and you hear the sound effects of the plane actually crashing, and then it explodes in fire.
Yeah, that was
about 30 to 50 yards from your face. You can feel the heat on your face. It was like, whoa,
that was really cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Yeah, they definitely have a lot more space to work with in a place like Barrett's, so they have like a lot more like. I feel like the hayride is a perfect example, though, like you talked about with the colony, where like the creepiness of just being in the woods and it's so dark. works to its advantage.
Well, there was the
for
giant,
everything.
There was the giant animatronic that was like a deer or something like bones or some fucking weird shit. Which one was that?
I forget.
Like, it was almost like a Wicker Man one, like too kind of.
Yeah, there was one of those. There was like a cannibal village that you roll through.
There's a lot of big animatronics.
Really big ones, like really, really big ones,
and really well done. Too.
Yeah, that was honestly, I think one of my biggest takeaways was the amount of animatronics they had and how they looked.
Yeah, they were sick,
firing on all cylinders. I think aside from the hayride for me, the colony I don't really have aside from that one structure that you walk into. That's again a little bit over the river. That's just a really cool setting. I've been through it a bunch of times, and I feel like it's mostly the same. I'm not knocking it. It's a good time, and again, with the amount of people that you're walking with, it takes away. Like if we were walking just me and you, or even just like me, that would have been infinitely more terrifying.
I feel like it was more like that when we went during like COVID. I don't think it was nearly as many people walking.
Yeah,
I feel like
it definitely was.
Yeah.
But I feel like they almost it's smart what they do because they almost kind of utilize that as a line, an entertainment line for the next attraction.
You're separating the hayride.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic.
Why not take people through the woods, scare them a little bit, walk them through some creepy backwoods sets?
Yeah, because it's like a solid 5-10 minute walk.
Oh, easily. Like, that one took like 10 minutes.
I almost always trip on like rocks there though when I'm walking. It's like dark and it's like the ground's uneven and I'm like don't know how to walk, so that happens.
You're also kind of blind, no fault of your own.
You can't see them.
You didn't make yourself blind. But Asylum 47. Again, I talked about that courtyard scene where you're walking into like a multi-level psychiatric hospital, and then oh my God, it's so beautiful. Like I don't even know what to say. I don't remember every single scene because it all happened so fast, but it's just everything is just so on point with the theming. It's not your like, typical run of the mill average haunted house with light theming. This is a well thought out theme that is fleshed out. You can see it. Everything is winterized. Christmas theming, New Year's Eve stuff, like in a psychiatric hospital. There's not anything in there that's like, okay, why would you put that in there? They don't have like chainsaw people in there at the end. Like it's just so well thought out. And I'm still blown away by the entire thing, even a few days later, because we went on Saturday night. We're recording this on Wednesday, had a few days to like gather my thoughts and decompress. And I'm still as blown away by that particular one as I was at the beginning. What about you? Yeah,
that was incredible. Like just walking through that whole thing, like I feel like they have like such good set designs that I can, like you said, I can't remember it, but there was like creepy ones with like people like just like random, not real people lying on the floor like dead. Like there was like a little girl and one like I feel like it was like a shower or something, just on the ground dead. Yeah, and then like I'm looking, I'm like that looks so fucking real. It's like the little stuff like that.
I know what I was going to say. This was the one that we walked through where it's the people in cells bashing their heads against the windows.
That one,
that was really cool stuff.
That was incredible.
Awesome.
I was like, that's good.
Yeah, it's impressive. Again,
very impressive.
Impressive animatronics.
And then you get like the guy from they had that too at Barrett's too. It's like from Seven.
That was Barrett's.
No, they both had it. They had another guy in this one too. I remember seeing.
You know what? They might have, because I remember. Actually, you know what? You're right. Because I remember walking through both of those, and being like, "That looks like the sloth kill from Seven."
Yeah, and it was the same thing. I was like, they both have that. That's
the
cool.
Same size guy.
Great minds think alike,
right? Yeah, we're both demented. And then
I meant Barrett's
and Spooky World and us.
Yep. Yeah, that one was again like the guy at the end that was just hanging and like violently writhing in pain. It looked. I was like staring at it. I was like, I feel like that's an actor, but I'm like, that would be the like. What do you do? You just
can't do that.
Can't do that. That'd be the worst.
You can't do that. You can't do that. No, you can't do that. And then, obviously, I think, again, a lot of people would consider the 3D haunted house to be an afterthought, but it's not an afterthought for Spooky World. It was really impeccably done this year. And the most memorable scene to me, bar none, so it obviously starts out with the spinning tunnel at the beginning, like a lot of them do. And that was always a fun time when you do that. There's a room with a gigantic spider animatronic in a room filled with spiders. And it's a huge room. The whole thing's painted. Probably one of the biggest animatronics we saw the entire time we were there. Massive. It was massive. And I was like, oh my God, this is, I clearly know this is not real. But I'm still kind of freaked out.
I was like, this is gross.
I don't like bugs.
Spiders are disgusting.
Yeah, spiders are gross. I don't like bugs. I know they eat the bad bugs. Don't at me. I don't kill them, but I also don't like them. I
don't hang out with them.
They creep me the fuck out. So
I would try and kill them if they were that big.
No way. Nope.
Well, I would run first, but
Yeah.
you're going to get caught.
Yeah,
and eaten.
let somebody more brave than me handle that, killing those big ones. Yeah, and then I think, we kind of wrapped up, walked out, again, took some pictures, got a beer at the beer garden, walked around. There's all kinds of carnival games you can play. It's a big old bonfire. You can see the Spooky World bus that lights up in flames. I bought myself a Spooky World pom-pom stocking hat for the wintertime. They have sweatshirts, they have T-shirts, they have long-sleeve T-shirts. And then, again, especially for me, depression set in because my 2 nights in a row of haunted attractions were over, and we made our way back to Massachusetts, which was a way smoother ride.
Going back was smooth.
It was a breeze.
There was nobody on the roads.
Yeah. So, Andrew, anything else you want to say about Spooky World, my friend? Before we,
I'm glad I went back because it was phenomenal. Definitely worth the trip.
Yeah, I've been a million times, and I didn't hold it against it. That with the last time we went was COVID, because obviously they had their hands tied behind their back. I was just trying to explore a few different haunts that I hadn't been to in a couple of years, and I just hadn't made it back. And I'm so glad that I made it back, and I'm so glad that I had as much fun as I did at Spooky World.
Yeah,
it was a fucking blast. Wish everybody else could have came with us, but it was still a lot of fun going with just you, Andrew. So maybe we'll have another haunted attraction date at some point coming up. Just me and you. We
spend a weekend somewhere, maybe.
All right. Well, again, thanks so much for checking in with us here at America's Hometown Horror. If you're new to the show, we love talking about this kind of stuff. It's what we do each and every week. We've been doing it every week for almost 4 years. We love talking horror, haunted attractions, horror movies, anything horror related that we can think of. We do horror drafts, blah, 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 etc., etc. Typically, we have a couple other people here with us, Matt and Kat, but they're not here tonight. And if you're listening to us right now, wherever you're listening, you'll find us there next week. But in addition, we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and wherever else you may get your podcasts. Thanks for listening to another episode of our show. Andrew, say good evening to your listeners.
Stay spooky.
Yes, adios, muchachos, and go to Spooky World. Good evening. Hey everyone, it's Mike from America's Hometown Horror, and I want to say thanks again for listening to another episode of our show. If you're interested in more local Plymouth podcasts, I'd highly recommend you check out the shows from our friends over on the Inebriart Podcast Network. In addition to America's Hometown Horror, you can find shows from Inebriart, the Old Colony Cast, Bar Talk, Theme Park Legends, and Retro Redoctopus, so head on over and give them a listen.